What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews, and in today's video, I'm going to give you some of my best bets for this upcoming set of the WNBA playoffs. It's been a minute since my last video, but it was great to be back in the winning column. On that last video, we went 3-1 on our straight bets. Aaliyah Boston over her points and rebounds, Brianna Jones under her points and rebounds, and Natasha Cloud over her points. Relatively sweat-free on all of our winners. The loser on the day was for Brittany Griner. We took her under in points. Crashed and burned, but we still cashed out regardless. Now, speaking about cashing out, VIP made it right again. 11 units profit thanks to a few value plays and parlays. I'm not going to drag this one out, but I'll flash all the winning picks up on the screen. Now, all of my straight bets, they are free, and I'll keep the videos coming as I have been doing each and every single day. I've tracked all the bets, and I'm 91-66 on all of these straight bets, these player props to the WNBA, and almost up 16 units of profit. Now, VIP gets access to my parlays, which is my bread and butter, and we're up 45 units on parlays alone since I launched VIP in August. Now, why do I sell picks? I've been doing it for years for free, doing it every single night, putting the videos up, all my analysis and all of my bets. Well, the reality is I don't earn much from these YouTube videos. My channel is much smaller than some of the bigger ones out there, and given the amount of time that I dedicate to this, with 2 young children, it's getting harder to justify all the time that I've spent. I've also had too many of my own personal accounts restricted, so it's difficult for me to make enough profit betting on my own. So selling picks, it solves both of these problems. Now, every bet that I share is tracked. I give daily and weekly updates on how everything is progressing, and I'm transparent with the strategies that I'm using. We practice strict bankroll management strategies, and whenever we lose, I own that shit. Now, if you're interested in signing up for VIP and you want to ride this profit train with us, use the code CLOUD and get 50% off. The links for VIP are in the pinned comment and in the video description below. And let's get to these bets. Let's go! So we're jumping into Outlier first, my go-to tool for doing all of this research on these player props. If you're interested in checking it out, I've got a 7-day free trial in the video description for you. That's all below. Now, we're looking at the first game. It's the Aces versus the Liberty. This is a rematch of the WNBA finals from last season, which the Aces did win. The Liberty, I think they've taken that personally this season. They've won all 3 matchups against the Aces. It's important to note that A'ja Wilson didn't play in their most recent game, and then Liberty barely made it out alive. That game was tight. Now, being straight up with you, this series is going to be difficult to win on. Both teams are excellent, and you're not going to find much advantages when it comes to matchups. The hardest part about this series is that role players are going to step up, take points, rebounds, and assists from the key players. These are also role players that you can't bet on. Most books don't offer props on these types of players. Now, this series, it's going to be about reacting to the previous game and anticipating what adjustments will be made. So in this game, there's only one bet that I'm rolling with, and that's for Chelsea Gray, and I'm looking at over 16.5 points and assists. Firstly, this is a plus money play, and you know how I feel about that. I fucking love that shit. Now, Chelsea Gray, she comes into this game with some amazing form. In the first round of this playoffs, 23 and 21 points plus assists in the 2 games against the Storm. The one thing you can count on in the playoffs is that your star players and your starters, they're going to see a lot more minutes. Now, in the 2 games against the Storm, she played 32 and 31 minutes. Now, I've checked the season data. Let me show it to you real quick. So on the season, she's only played 30 plus minutes in 8 games. And you can see it right here on my screen. She's covered this line in 6 out of 8 of those games, averaging 17.8 points plus assists. I also looked at last season's playoff starter, and she covered this line in 7 out of 8 games, averaging 22 points plus assists. Now, I even broke down her performances against the Liberty. Now, she's only had 2 games against them this season, 19 points and assists in 1 game, and then only 9 points and 2 assists in game 2. Now, it's important to note that second game where she only finished with 9, that's when the Aces played without A'ja Wilson. I don't think they expected to be close in that game. They ran their bench a lot of minutes, and their bench produced quite well. So I'm happy to give her a pass on that one. Now, prior to this season, she was an absolute beast against the Liberty, covering this line in 7 consecutive games. Now, she was younger, healthier, and more dynamic, but she can still create her own shot off the dribble, and she can definitely still rack up these assists in transition and in the half court with A'ja Wilson. Now, the Liberty don't necessarily have a weakness defensively. So the matchup for all of these players in this game is going to be somewhat difficult. Some players thrive in a difficult matchup and others are terrible. Chelsea Gray is one of those who play better when times get tough. Crunch the numbers. And against the top 4 teams in defensive rating this season, when she's played more than 30 minutes with A'ja Wilson in the lineup, She's over this line in all 5 games, averaging 19.6 points plus assists. Now, in comparison to someone like Jackie Young, up against the top 4 teams in defensive rating, when she plays 30 plus minutes, she's only covered her points line in 4 out of 10 games. Kelsey Plum, she's a little bit better, but she's covered her points line in these tougher games in 7 out of 13. So I feel like the odds for her to get 16.5 is great value. And if it wasn't at plus money, I probably wouldn't be betting it. But it is. So I'm all over it. Chelsea Gray over 16.5 points plus assists. I want to watch to see how these star players perform. Brandon Stewart, Sabrina, Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum. I want to see how they're going to perform and try to anticipate what they're going to do in game 2. Let's jump into the next game because I've got 2 picks that I like in that one. And we're looking at the Suns versus the Lynx. Now, this is a battle between 2 of the best defensive teams in the WNBA. Quite similar defensively and in pace. The difference between these teams comes on the offensive end, as the Lynx love to shoot 3-pointers. They're converting those at 38% this season. Now, coming into this game, we saw the Sun put the clamps on the red-hot fever, whilst the Lynx, they struggled defensively against the Mercury. They allowed 95 and 88 points to the Mercury, and what's crazy is that they've only allowed 88 points or more in 5 games all season. So it's going to be an interesting series. But I think the Suns' experience and physical nature will see them through in 5 games. But let's get into the picks. So I've got 2 that I like. The first one that I want to go through, I feel like a lot of people are going to be betting on this. We're looking at Napheesa Collier, and we're looking just at her points prop. Over 23.5 points for Napheesa Collier. And during the season, she was tough to bet on. Her lines were high, and often at times, she lacked aggressiveness scoring the ball and even grabbing some rebounds. But this is the playoffs, baby, and Napheesa is locked the fuck in. 38 and 42 points in the first 2 games. But that was up against the Mercury, who are one of the worst defenses in the league. She does have a much tougher matchup against the number 1 defensive team, the Connecticut Sun. Now, she's covered this line in 2 out of the 3 games she's played against the Connecticut Sun this season, 31, 9, and 25. The game where she went under, where she scored 9 points, she only played 24 minutes and attempted 9 shots in that game. So we're happy to give her a pass here. In the other 2 games, she pretty much played every single minute of that game. So you could say that her ceiling is 25 to 31 points. Similar to the Aces and the Liberty, there aren't many matchup advantages to exploit when it comes to star players in this game. It comes down to who's going to perform on the big stage. Now, I've run the numbers here for Napheesa Collier and against the top 4 defensive teams in the league. Collier's only covered this line in 3 out of 7 games when she plays more than 35 minutes. Now, that hit rate is not great, but what is promising is that she's covered this line in both games against the Sun when she played more than 35 minutes. The Lynx, they rely a lot on outside shooting in their offense, and the Sun, they are the best team in the league at defending the perimeter. This is going to give Napheesa time and space to operate on the inside. The Sun don't have a rim protector, and if Collier gets looks moving towards a basket, she can cover this line without a doubt. I've also checked the tape, and Alyssa Thomas, most likely going to be her main defender. But the Lynx, they're going to do a good job getting some switches, especially when she does some pick and rolls with Courtney Williams. Every time Collier gets that switch, she's going to demand the ball, and the Sun have no one outside of Alyssa Thomas that can contain her. So I do like Napheesa Collier to feast in this one. Over 23.5, I'd probably take it all the way up to 24.5, but I don't think the line moves any higher than that. But I do like her to continue to stay aggressive and score some buckets. My next play within this same game, we're looking at her counterpart, and we're looking at Alyssa Thomas, and I like her over in points plus assists. So we're looking at over 22.5 points plus assists for Alyssa Thomas. Now, playoff for Alyssa Thomas is a real thing. It was dynamite against the Fever in the first round. Check it out, 25 and 32 points plus assists. And I did back Alyssa Thomas for a big game in both of those games against Fever, and that's because of her history of beating up on that team. Well, look what I found here for Alyssa Thomas up against the Lynx. Alyssa Thomas has beat up on the Lynx like a raging alcoholic. Against the Lynx, she's covered this line in 9 out of 10 games and all 3 games this season. She's averaged 28.5 points plus assists over the last 10 games against them. Now, she played them in the playoffs last year, and she got busy. 25, 32, and 40 points plus assists for Alyssa Thomas. As athletic as Collier is defensively, she doesn't have the strength to limit Alyssa Thomas going downhill. They do have Hines Allen off the bench, who's as strong as an ox, but she doesn't have the foot speed to match Alyssa Thomas. Now, Alyssa Thomas, she'll score in transition, she'll get offensive rebounds and put that shit back, and she'll even shoot that ugly-ass mid-range if you let her. She's the focal point of their offense, and whether she's scoring or setting up others, she's going to leave her fingerprint all over this game. And I love Alyssa Thomas to go over this 22.5. It's going to be a great battle. I cannot wait. So let me know in the comment section what bets you're taking in this. Was there something I overlooked? Am I absolute trash? Just let me know in the comment section. Every comment makes a big difference for the algorithm to get this video out to more people. I'm making a ton of money in the WNBA, and I need this video to blow up so more people can too. I appreciate it if you made it this far. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Best of luck. Peace.